Come on, hit it. Do it. You know you want to.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblum, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. And what a great night it is. It's the night of the induction ceremonies for the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame. And that really needs no further explanation. You know, we are among the elite in the sports world in South Carolina. We've got two classes going in because of the COVID situation. Got two classes going in, the 2020 class and the 2022 class. They skipped the 2021 because of COVID. We're downtown Columbia, the convention center. Apparently it's starting to rain hard outside, and we are set up upstairs. Down below, you might hear a roar in the background. That's the sound of 900 people or so getting together and drinking heavily and socializing and things like that. But we're going to try and talk to at least three of the inductees tonight, and we're going to get into other things tonight, looking ahead to the baseball tournaments, of course, the recruiting weekend, the PGA, and all of that. But we want to jump right in to the main course, which is, of course, talking to some of the honorees tonight. And one of those going in, and justifiably so, you can't have a second thought about this. Mike Ayers, longtime football coach at Wofford and also at East Tennessee State, and a couple of other stops here and there, but primarily at Wofford here in our state. And he has joined us here upstairs above the noise. How are you?
Doing well.
It is great to see you again.
It's been a while.
Couple of years, 3 years, 4 years.
But some things stay the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, not me, but, just, friendships, staying close, and, just having that bond, whether it be with a guy like you or players that are out there in the crowd right now. So, it's fun. It's really special, and I'm very blessed to have had those guys and to have this opportunity.
You just had a bunch of guys come by and crowd around you. Who were they?
Ex-players. Good people. Some of them played way back. Some of them played way back, and some of them, recently.
There's others coming in.
Yep. But
the one thing about players, they never forget their coach.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope not. And hopefully there are fond memories, but as we well know, football's hard and preparation is hard, and quite frankly, they always talk about January preparation. That's when everything started for us at Wofford, and we set the stage for spring practice, which set the stage for summer practice, which set the stage for opening up and playing.
And winning.
Well, we were very fortunate and very blessed. We had an opportunity that a lot of people, quite frankly, didn't think we could get it done. But, God's got his own plan, and it ended up we won some ball games.
Yes, you did. Catch us up on what you've been doing since you walked away.
Well, a big thing, I've been involved as far as speaking, whether it be touchdown clubs, FCA, or like a corporate deal where they end up wanting me to come in and talk to them about leadership and about how do you create a culture that people value the place that they're at, and they're willing to work for it. And we try to have a good time with them. And I've had several opportunities where I've done callbacks, and it's been fun.
Do you find it fulfilling?
It's fun. I think anytime that you're helping people, I think that's a fulfilling situation. So we like it, and you'll be in a situation where you'll start joking around with some of them and stuff like that, and it's talk about some old war stories, some locker room pregame stuff, and it turns out to be a great experience for me, hopefully for them.
Is it the locker room that you miss most?
Well, I think the biggest thing, quite frankly, is the kids. You're having that opportunity to have that relationship for 100 guys every year for over 30 years, and to see these guys and see how they mature, how they change, they grow. They grow from a young guy into a man, and they go out, and a part of our sell was that we were going to recruit kids. We were going to give them an opportunity to play Division I football and an opportunity to get a world-class education at Wofford.
Football's changed a lot, hasn't it?
It has.
Just a short time since you left.
It has.
Do you recognize it?
I don't. I don't.
Yeah.
I think it's probably one of those things where it's going to be really difficult, I think, to have a program like we had, where you built a culture. Kids came in, they stayed there for 4 years. They graduated, and then they went out into the real world and did what they wanted to do, whether it be doctor, lawyer, teacher, preacher, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Great seeing you. You still doing the jiu-jitsu? And
well, I stopped doing that.
Was it jiu-jitsu?
No, it was Korean karate, Tung Sudo.
Okay.
And I stopped doing that when I stopped teaching it there at Wofford after.
But you could still kill somebody if you wanted to.
No. It was all a fitness thing for me, and we'd go to tournaments and stuff like that and have some fun. But
well, you look
fit.
It was good. You look good.
Well, I appreciate that. My wife has a lot to do with it, I promise you.
She's keeping you busy.
Busy, and we try to eat right, and do the things that you need to do to hopefully keep you around for a while.
Well, we hope that's the case. Thank you for coming by.
Thanks,
really
Phil.
Appreciate it. Congratulations. Enjoy
Yes,
the
sir.
night. Thank you very much. Coach Mike Ayers first up with us tonight. We have a trio of stars. We've got them lined up. Who's going to be next? It looks like it's going to be Sidney Rice, the former Gamecock star and NFL standout from Gaffney. I made many a phone call back in the recruiting days to that number. I could probably recite it to you.
You still got it?
864 call Sidney, I think is what it was. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
Thank you for joining us. Congratulations.
Sure. Thank you. I appreciate it.
How's it feel to be? You mentioned today at the press conference you're in the University of South Carolina Football Hall of Fame, or Hall of Fame, Athletic Hall of Fame. That's nice. I mean, that's all the Gamecocks, but now this is the entire state.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. Getting chills thinking about it. Very fortunate enough to, be able to play at the University of South Carolina, all of the Gamecock support, and have some amazing years there with Coach Spurrier and Coach Lou Holtz, who recruited me. And to be able to go back in 2015 and be accepted or inducted into the South Carolina Athletics Hall of Fame was absolutely amazing. But to be recognized amongst the best athletes to ever play in the great state of South Carolina as a South Carolinian is absolutely amazing. Truly an honor.
And to say, how many people can say they play for both Lou Holtz and Steve Spurrier in college?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
Not many at all. And everybody always asks, like, did you play for Spurrier? Did you play for Holtz? And I'm like, I played for both of them. They're like, whoa.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's awesome.
Was it crazy? I mean, the transition from Holtz, it didn't end well, and then Spurrier comes in. What was that like going from one to the other?
You know what? It wasn't bad at all. It wasn't bad at all. We knew what we were getting. And I'll tell you a quick story. Coach Holtz, we were at practice one day, and I guess he knew his tenure was pretty much up after that season. And
yeah.
I think we were preparing for Clemson, the last game of the season, standing in the back of the end zone. And we were just sitting there chatting, and he's like, I'll tell you what, son, you're going to be okay. It's like, you're going to be all right. I said, we got something really special coming in here. And to hear them say that, I didn't know who he was speaking of at the moment. But I realized that once they made the announcement, I'm like, oh, it rung a bell, like, oh.
And as a receiver, you had to be excited as heck.
Yeah, super excited. And another story, and Coach Spurrier Jr. always tells this story. When they first got in, they never had any tall receivers. They had short, fast guys that they played with at the University of Florida throughout their whole career, and that they used on the field. So Spurrier Jr. is like, I walked in and I see you. I'm like, who's this guy? He'll never play here. Those are his
just didn't fit their mold.
Yeah, it didn't fit their mold. But fortunately enough, they gave me the opportunity to step out on the field and perform, and took advantage of that. Grateful for it. Grateful for every second.
As a matter of fact, I mean, you think who's come since you, like Alshon Jeffrey. You kind of set the mold, kind of set the bar for Alshon and receivers like that.
Oh, it's absolutely amazing. And it's awesome to have those guys show up and, shatter records and do things like that. Everybody always asks, Alshon's going to break your record. Are you upset? Like, absolutely not.
Right.
He's putting his school on the map, and that's what it's all about. Super happy I was able to provide motivation to incoming athletes at the university, and actually be able to represent the university beyond the school, in the professional leagues as well. So it's been great.
When you were coming out of high school at Gaffney, you were also a really good basketball player. Did you consider basketball over football, or was it always football for you?
It was both. I was supposed to play both. I had multiple offers for both, and I was supposed to play both at University of South Carolina as well.
Yeah.
But Coach Spurrier talked me out of it.
Thought it would be too much on you?
So my redshirt freshman year, the reason I redshirted, I had a leg injury, I think pregame Georgia early in the year. I wasn't fully recovered at the end of the year when basketball season was coming around. Decided to sit that out. Had an amazing year with Spurrier the next year. And I remember getting that phone call in the spring. To come up to his office, someone came grab me and said, Coach Spurrier wants to see you in the office. And I go up in his office, got his feet on his desk. Hey, he said, like, what's going on? He's like, I know you're supposed to play basketball, but I don't think that's a good idea. I think you should stick to football. And so we had that conversation, and I thought about it. I only had to play another year. If I had a pretty good year, I would be able to accomplish my childhood goal and play in the NFL. And that happened. So everybody always asks if I'm upset that I didn't play basketball, and I can't say that I am. Everything happens for a reason. Truly blessed to be able to play both growing up and have some amazing years in high school. And football was it.
142 catches at South Carolina, 23 touchdown catches, second-round pick of the Vikings. You play for the Vikings, the Seahawks, won a Super Bowl with the Seahawks, Pro Bowl in 2009. But your career ended a little early, didn't it?
Some would say. It's way longer than the average NFL player plays. So I ended up playing 7 years, 4 years in Minnesota, 3 years with the Seahawks. But a lot of people say I walked away at like around my peak time. I had an ACL injury. And the reason for that is everything started coming out with the injuries that they had been holding back for so long, and the long-term effects on that. And I just felt like I wasn't willing to risk that anymore. So just walked away from the game on my own terms, and I'm not upset that I did that. It pretty much brought a lot of awareness to the things that actually go on in the NFL. So, yeah, Had a great time while I was playing. Didn't have the same love for the game, and that's not a sport that you can go out there and go through the motions through. So ended up calling it a
And what are you
career.
doing now?
I have a few businesses out in the Seattle area, still living there. A few businesses there. Wingstop restaurants, took the first ones there. Little real estate, been able to build some great relationships there with the tech going on. So
You got a
just been
secret
awesome.
sauce? You got a secret wing sauce you want to share with us?
Lemon pepper is my go-to. Lemon peppers, I think that's the national favorite, lemon pepper, and then you got the dry rub. So.
The dry rub, the lemon pepper.
Yeah.
You know that guy behind you?
Oh, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
CJ Spiller?
I'm glad he has on a suit and not on some pads.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, you don't have to tackle him. Could you outrun him? No, you couldn't outrun him.
No chance.
No, you weren't going to outrun him.
No chance.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. Great to see you.
Thank you.
It's always fun to know a guy. I don't know you, but to know you from the phone as a high school kid, and now you're going into the Hall of Fame. It's kind of neat. So congratulations.
It's absolutely
State
amazing.
of South Carolina's proud of you. Gamecock fans are proud of you.
That means
what a great career.
It means the world to me being a South Carolinian, and I'd like to say thanks to every single person in the state or actually in the world that supported me throughout my career, especially those Gaffney Indians and Gamecocks. So.
Thank you so much for coming over.
Thank you.
Enjoy the night. All right, Sidney Rice, the great Sidney Rice. His name's in the stadium at South Carolina. Appreciate him joining us. We're going to have C.J. Spiller. That's Coach C.J. Spiller coming over here in just a moment. He's posing for a picture, and he's going to join us here in just a second. He's decked out, got his Tiger Paw stuff on. He's got his got a button on there as well. We welcome the great Coach C.J. Spiller. Coach.
Yeah, man.
Coach Spiller.
Coach, I know. Tonight I'm a player, though.
You're player.
I'm player tonight.
But you're off the road.
I'm off the road.
Yeah.
It was a great spring recruiting. First time. Went great. Met some great head coaches. Met some other great assistant coaches on the road along the way. Was able to get my eyes on a lot of great athletes that's out there across this country. So glad that it's behind me, and now put my attention on tonight.
Well, we want to talk about you.
Yeah.
Because this is about you, man.
Nah, man.
First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
And what does it mean? I mean, you're a Floridian, but you're a Clemson Tiger. What does it mean to go into this Hall of Fame?
It means a lot. I'm truly humble and truly blessed, just honored, honestly, because just like you mentioned, to be a Floridian and going into the South Carolina Athletics Hall of Fame. If you would have told me this when I was a little kid, I would have doubted you because I just didn't know how the process works as far as guys from out of state getting inducted into other states Hall of Fame. So to be sitting here tonight, this evening, going in with so many great people, the one that you just got done speaking with Sidney Rice, and going in with my guy Fred Hoover. So I mean, it's just so many great people that's well deserved, and for me to be going in at such an early age, it truly is still just mind blowing.
Well, everybody knew you were going to be a great one. Clemson had to win a heated recruiting battle to get you. I remember reading reports from guys that saw you in practice before the first game. They said, this guy's going to be something. Then I got a chance to see your first game, and we knew you had an extra gear. And 3,500 yards and 51 touchdowns later at Clemson, you move on to the league. But, I mean, did you just kind of know coming in? Did you have that feeling that coming in that you had a chance to do something special at Clemson?
No, not really. Honestly, at a young age, at 6, 7 years old, I wrote myself a letter. And I wrote down pretty much my dreams and my goals that I wanted to accomplish in life. And really the only things that I wrote on there, was obviously, at the bottom was the NFL. But, along those lines was I always wanted to be considered one of the best to ever do it, leaving my high school, leaving college, and then obviously, hopefully in the NFL. That was really just my dream as a young kid, and that the stuff that I wanted to accomplish in this lifetime. So to be sitting here tonight and to be able to mark check one of those accomplishments, it means a ton to me. But that just goes to show you how words are very powerful, and the things that you write down and you look at them every night as a little kid, and you just keep your what I call horse blinders on, and you just stay focused. You never know where this journey can take you. So, like I said, I'm just truly honored and humbled by this selection tonight.
How cool was the Thunder and Lightning thing to you?
It was awesome. It truly was awesome to be playing with James Davis. And, ironically, in high school, I had a former teammate and we was Thunder and Lightning. So going into that role again with James was pretty much like just another stepping stone for me because, Lightning kind of had to been with me since my high school days, and now, to have that name carry over to college, it meant a lot. A lot of people don't put a lot into it, but I do, because I knew what it meant to me and my family. So those fun days playing with him. We knew how to push each other. We knew how to get the best out of each other, and that's what you want as teammates. You want them to get the best out of you, and all the teammates that I ever had, they got the best out of me.
If you had focused on track,
yeah,
how good would you have been?
Who knows? Honestly, I was very blessed with tremendous speed, but I would have gave it my all. I can tell you that. But who knows where that journey would have took me? But I knew I would have put everything I had into it. But very blessed that I was able to translate some of that track speed over to the football.
How much did you enjoy your NFL career, and did it end the way you hoped it would?
I loved it, honestly, especially when you grew up in a small town like Lake Butler, the smallest town in the state of Florida, and to even make it to college was an accomplishment for me. So then to go off and play 8 years in NFL, that was a huge accomplishment. So I loved everything about it. It truly opened doors for me and my family. It helped me do things that you only see on TV, honestly. Where I'm from, I was able to do some things in this lifetime at a young age that I only dreamed about, honestly. So, I have nothing but huge respect for the NFL and all the organizations that I was able to be a part of.
Transitioning to coaching, how would you say that's gone?
It's gone good so far. Truly blessed to have the position that I have. Got to thank Coach Sweeney and, Board of Trustees and President Clemens, and also Coach Tony Elliott for allowing me to come in that first year and kind of just understudy him and see how he ran the room, and kind of got a grasp of, how he handled recruiting. So, just I had tremendous mentors along the way that kind of helped me be successful, I guess you say, so far. But, all that goes to the guys that I have in my room, from Will Shipley to Kobe Pace to Phil Marfa, to Tristan Rigby, to Kevin McNeil, to Wise Seegers, to Dominique Thomas, to who else? I got Keith Adams in there now. So, all those guys just mean a lot to me. Those are pretty much like my little sons. And I just try to just have an impact on their life.
You think it's a pretty good, a special running back room?
It is, because those guys, they pull for each other, and that's what you want. They know how. They pretty much remind me of how me and James was. They push each other. They know how to get the best. And, the thing, as a coach, I don't have to ask those guys to work hard because they already have that ingrained into them. To me, I'm just trying to teach them nuances of the position. The rest of it is just all God-given ability, and just trying to have an impact, not just on the X's and O's, but just life. Sometimes we just get in there and talk about life itself. So, I'm happy to be a part of those guys' journey so far, and looking forward to continue to build this relationship with them.
You never know where your coaching career is going to lead, but, could you have picked a better place to start than where you're at?
I couldn't have picked a better place to start here at my alma mater and to be working for, Coach Sweeney. A guy that truly values the same things that you value, and then the coaching staff that really gel together, got the cohesiveness to really function, to really put the players first. That means a lot, and it makes coming to work that much easier.
Is it going to bother you at all if one day you're coaching a player who makes more than you do?
No, it won't bother me at all, honestly. I'm happy for the players. It's well overdue. Just got to just continue to just keep the main thing, and that'll be my message to my guys. As long as we keep the main thing. Hey, you go make as much as you want to make. I think a lot of times when guys get sidetracked is when it get in trouble.
Yeah. We're going to let you go because they're getting ready to walk you guys in. Congratulations.
Thank you.
State of South Carolina is proud of you. Florida's proud of you. Well, maybe not some Gators. But Clemson Tiger fans are proud of you.
I'm proud to be a Tiger.
We thank you for coming over.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Take care. Have a great night.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. C.J. Spiller, coach. C.J. Spiller of the Clemson Tigers. Wow. Chris, can't do much better than that. I think I'm going home.
You've done a terrific job. And I was thinking, boy, you want to talk about first-round selections in our state. Give me Mike Young coaching those guys. Mike Ayers, I'm sorry. Give me Mike Ayers coaching those guys and Sidney Rice and C.J. Spiller in my offense. I don't care who's at quarterback. I could be a quarterback with those guys. You're going to win a lot of ball games with that trio. That was remarkable. And I thought Sidney's comments about CTE were just eye-opening. That is
yes.
Part of the reason he decided to step away.
Yes, and he had a hip injury that Pat's telling me about, had a hip injury that was very, very severe as well. It's a shame. The thing is, though, we say it's a shame, but he said 7 years, and CJ put in 8 years. Mm-hmm. That might not seem like much to us on the outside, but to those guys, that's a lot of years, a lot of wear and tear on the bodies.
No question. And the way the NFL is, I'd be curious if we had more time with Sidney, Would he like to play wide receiver now, the way the game has changed even since he retired? How much it has changed in favor of the Whiteouts?
That would have been a good question. We'll be back. We'll talk more about this and a whole lot more coming up. Sports Talk
is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy with some showers lingering into the evening and overnight lows dip to 68. Tomorrow, more clouds than sun and a 50% chance of afternoon showers. Look for less humidity, though, at a high of 86. Decent chance of showers every day of this work week. Looking ahead, the weekend looks great with sunshine and highs in the mid-80s. Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Aiken-Cochran. As Miss America, I know that taking care of yourself is important. Part of taking care of your health is knowing if you're at risk of type 2 diabetes. Prediabetes is serious and puts you at risk for developing type 2 diabetes. 90% of South Carolinians who have it don't know they have it. Visit inittogethersc.org. Take an online test to find out your risk and join a diabetes prevention program. Brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina.
When was the last time you went through a drive-thru? Now, when was the last time you ordered fruits or vegetables from their menu? That's the problem we are facing every day. Unhealthy, processed foods are readily available at every street corner. But it's getting harder and harder to get whole, natural produce into our diets. That's why Balance of Nature exists. Balance of Nature is a special blend of fruits and vegetables chosen to provide the highest nutritional value possible. By taking just 3 fruit and 3 veggie capsules, you get the equivalent of all of the recommended servings of fruits and vegetables in just a few seconds. Get fruits and veggies into your diet today by calling 1-800-246-8751 or by going online to balanceofnature.com. And don't forget to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer by using discount code BALANCE.
When it comes to firearms, ammunition, and accessories, some things are changing. Well, fortunately, some things haven't changed a bit. I'm talking all about Shooter's Choice in West Columbia. What has never and will never change is the customer service. Top notch with the staff that has decades of experience in the firearms industry. This staff actually hunts and shoots regularly. For over 30 years, Shooter's Choice has never lost that hometown feel and never felt like shopping at some big box store. What has changed? Well, technology. If you'd rather spend your money on firearms than gas, go online to shooterschoicesc.com and check out a great website that's easy to navigate 24/7. Be the first to get items as they are received at the store. Be the first to get that newest production model ordered before it even enters the retail store. Come pick it up at your convenience. Sign up for notifications of new products and special inventory. It's all at shooterschoicesc.com. So come on in and see the team at Shooter's Choice, 944 Sunset Boulevard, or visit online. Either way, you'll see what I'm talking about. Make your first choice, your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
Everyone knows that here at The Point, we are all about supporting local businesses. We are all about local, local, local. You cannot get more local than my friend Greg McCoy and his business, Simplified Mortgage Solutions. Fran Halloran here. If you're buying a home or you're looking to refinance your current home, you owe it to yourself to call Greg. He is the real deal. You can expect Greg to treat you like you are his only client. You can expect Greg to scour the market to find you the best rate available. You can expect Greg to charge you a fair price for his work and his service. Why would you deal with some national company headquartered in who knows where when you can do business with Greg? Need further persuasion? Okay, I didn't even mention the good Greg does in our community by supporting local charities like Blue Star Mothers and Camp Chemo. Come on, you need to call Greg. Online at simplifiedmortgagesc.com, or you can call Greg at 803-722-6044. That's 722-6044.
A well-regulated humidor being necessary to the preservation of a cigar, the right of the people to keep and enjoy cigars shall not be infringed. For those who love a great cigar and want to spend time with others who are like-minded, the Cigar Militia offers the experience you're looking for. We're located in the Colonial Village next to the Melting Pot. The Cigar Militia offers exceptional cigars from around the world, staff to assist you in your selections, private cigar lockers, and a lounge where members can relax and enjoy.
Attention pizza lovers. The Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers in Columbia and Lexington have officially been named
the best pizza places in the universe.
Maybe it's the out-of-this-world ambiance, or the universally appealing hand-tossed spring water dough pizza, fresh salads and hoagies, or maybe it's the cosmos of craft beer. Either way, Mellow Mushroom in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington are officially
the best pizza places in the universe.
Official Best Pizza in the Universe designation from an official-looking guy who tried our pizza and said that.
All right, we are back on Sports Talk. We're at the downtown Columbia Convention Center on a stormy night, rainy night in Columbia. They have gone inside the big banquet hall. This is a sold-out event, but if you want to follow along, it is being streamed. You can listen to us, but watch the streaming. Yeah, I never want to encourage you to leave us. They are streaming it on the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame Facebook page. First time ever. As you know, they got some new folks handling things. Not that nothing was done poorly in the past, because they did a fantastic job, but new folks, new ideas. And they're doing a live stream of the event tonight, and you can catch it there on their Facebook page. So we had 3 of the Hall of Famers. That's not all of them. Let's tell you who's going in. In the 2020 class, Gaylord Perry. I actually saw him as I was coming in, and he was loading up a baseball, Chris. Saw him spitting on a baseball. And
so does the baseball go in with him or just him?
It probably should. It probably should. And then Dan Dreesen, who I met today. And the thing I said to Dan Dreesen, who sounds like he's from Hilton Head, which he's from Hilton Head, I said to him, you know, I don't know if your swing is still as good as it was, but you still have the sideburns. And he does to this day. You know, he went back and looked at him as a baseball player in the major leagues with the Reds. He had those long sideburns that came down to the bottom of the earlobe. He still has them. That's what I pointed out to him. I said, you still got them. They're gray now. They were black, but they're gray now, but he still has them. Ed Lynch is going in. Ed Lynch, who came to South Carolina as a basketball player primarily. He was recruited by Frank McGuire, and he was also a baseball player, and that's where he made his fame, pitching for the Gamecocks from 74 to 77, 15-3 in his career, 2 College World Series appearances in 75 and 77, 22nd round draft pick of the Rangers, and he was 10-8 in his major league career before they traded him to, the Cubs. So he pitched for, let me get this right. He enjoyed a career year in 85 when he was 10-8 and 3.44 ERA. So he was with the Rangers, with the Mets, and then went to the Cubs. But then he really made his name as a general manager of the Cubs from 94 to 2000, and sort of helped, maybe laid the groundwork for the success that they had coming up, but highly regarded individual in the MLB. We heard from C.J. Spiller, and then also going in, former USC quarterback and the voice of football for the Gamecocks, Todd Ellis, who rewrote the school's passing records with more than 20 school passing marks while throwing for 9,953 yards, second in wins as starting quarterback at USC with 24, and only one of 2 quarterbacks in school history to lead the team in passing yards in 4 consecutive seasons. Then Roberta Williams, South Carolina State basketball star from the 70s, and she helped lead them to the national tournament. The Bulldogs are 121-13 during her 4 years, 30-5, 28-1, 33-2, and 30-5. And she was a tournament MVP in 79. Remember, that's when Larry Bird and Magic were playing and doing their thing. So she was she led state to the national championship game that year. She's in the State Hall of Fame as well. I should mention some numbers on Gaylord Perry. Of course, everybody thinks about Gaylord Perry for his, antics on the mound. He also was the head coach at Limestone, where he went 81-57 with 3 81-57s as a coach there. As programs founders, for 4 seasons upon 81-57 mark. He had 3 20-win seasons in the majors, a 5-time All-Star, 2-time Cy Young Award winner in his 22 seasons, 314 career wins, 3,534 strikeouts, a 3.11 ERA. He pitched for 8 major league teams. He's in the Baseball Hall of Fame in 91. Became the first to win the Cy Young in both leagues. Can you name those teams where he won the Cy Young? Who can name those teams?
Wow.
One
No, I
American
can't.
League, one National League.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't.
Cleveland and San Diego. Cleveland and San Diego were the two
Wonder
teams.
how many pitchers from either one of those teams are in the Hall of Fame, especially Cleveland.
Well, Bob Feller would be one that I can think of off the top of my head. Now to the 22 class, you've got, of course, Sidney Rice, who we talked about earlier and gave you some of his numbers. Mike Ayers, who we talked to earlier. 33-year coaching career, 30 years at Wofford. He was 207, 139, and 1 at Wofford. Fantastic career. Doc Hoover, Fred Hoover, longtime trainer at Clemson, hired by Frank Howard in 1959. And he was at Clemson from 59 to 98 as the trainer. And he began working at Clemson 7 years before they created Howard's Rock. He worked 446 straight football games and has estimated to have supervised 4,500 Clemson football practices. Worked with the 7 head coaches, 11 ACC championship teams, 16 bowl teams, 38 All-Americans, 16 NFL All-Pro players, et cetera, et cetera. He kind of set the bar very high for his profession here in South Carolina. Judy Wilkins Rose, the AD head coach at North Carolina Charlotte. She's a native of Blacksburg. Played basketball at Winthrop before moving into coaching and athletics administration at North Carolina Charlotte. So those are the ones going in to the Hall of Fame tonight, and a great group. Appreciate those that came by to speak to us. Always a thrill. It is a thrill to see these folks that maybe you have followed through the career in the media, maybe in recruiting and talking to them in recruiting, and now, watching them play in college. And I was going to bring up the story, Chris. We didn't have time. And, on a night like this, you don't like to dredge up old painful stuff, but I was going to jokingly bring up the story about C.J. Spiller and how he almost transferred out of Clemson after his freshman year. And we had a very controversial interview on our air one night with his mother, Patricia. And she said some things, pretty strong stuff, that her son was leaving Clemson and da-da-da-da-da.
Wow.
And she, whatever, Oh, yeah. I mean, the fact that he was considering leaving Clemson was being widely reported. It looked like he might be heading to Florida. But things settled down, things calmed down, and he ended up, of course, staying at Clemson, and the rest is history. So didn't really want to get into all that at this particular time.
It's fascinating how things work out, because Sidney Rice talked about how Steve Spurrier torpedoed his potential NBA career. And I don't think Sidney's upset about that at all, I thought that was a great story. That Spurrier calls him in his office, and he's sitting there with his feet propped up on his desk and going, you know what? You're too good a football player. I'm going to need you. You got to give up this basketball stuff. I thought that was fabulous.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it turned out well for him. I don't think he has anything to complain about, and he looks great. He's one of these guys, and CJ as well. I mean, they walked away from football, and everything is apparently, at least on the outside, still functioning for them. They're able to walk around. They're not limping or anything like that. They survived the brutality that is college football and pro football. To be able to kind of laugh about it now, and both did very well in both levels of their careers there. So, all right, our phone number, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. Did you know that since 2002, more than $999 million in lottery proceeds have been used to support K through 12 programs in South Carolina? Learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at sceducationlottery.com/education wins. And playing for fun is a win for education. All right, so let's move on to some other things to talk about, guys, coming off the weekend. We've got the baseball tournaments beginning tomorrow. I'll be in Hoover for South Carolina and Florida. They'll play 2:30 tomorrow afternoon for the right to advance to the double elimination phase of that tournament. And Clemson, hang on one second. Miss, she dropped that if you want to. Well, no, a lady was just walking by, and believe it or not, some money fell out of her pocket. And I could have kept my mouth shut and gone over there and grabbed it. But I feel like an honest engine tonight. and I was gonna, and you know what? It was $1,000 bill. Now I'm really kicking myself. Now I don't know what it was.
Phil. Good for you.
Could have been a 10. Could have been a 10. But anyway, that would have bought me a half a gallon of gas to get me home.
To get over to Hoover.
I could have used that. But anyway, where was I? Hoover, South Carolina, Florida. Looks like it will be Will Sanders starting for South Carolina against the guy that Florida started on Thursday night, and he pitched pretty well against the Gamecocks. But this gives the Gamecocks a pretty decent chance, don't you think, with Will Sanders going to the mound?
I've got to give Mark Kingston and Justin Parker some credit because I was pretty critical of the way they were lining up their pitching staff for last week, and I still don't quite understand the Noah Hall situation. I mean, he threw nearly 90 pitches, and you're going to need him. If you get out of game one, you're going to need him quickly into double elimination. But I will give them a lot of credit for the way they handled Will Sanders. You run him out there for an inning on Saturday. Basically what Mark Kingston said in his pregame interview on radio was it was going to be a typical bullpen day for him. They got him out of there, and so he's ready to go tomorrow, and they desperately need him to pitch like the Will Sanders we have seen throughout the year. So I think in terms of Sanders, they handled that about as well as they could have, and plus they got a win in the game he actually started. Now, he didn't factor in the decision, but they actually got a win on Saturday, so maybe they take a little momentum into that and got to find a way just to get to the double elimination round and then see what happens after that.
Well, I mean, let's face it. Next Gamecock, they lose, they're done. If they don't win the SEC tournament, they're done. Right now, their RPI is 67, so that's not going to be good enough. However, this is kind of interesting, I guess. Tell me if you think this is interesting. This is something I noted the other night. So South Carolina's got 27 wins in the regular season. All right, 13 are against Q1 teams, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Only 10 other teams in the RPI, top 67, have more Q1 wins than the Gamecocks. Now, I mean, is that decent? Now, Clemson has 35 wins, and they have 13 Q1 wins as well. But only 10 other teams, and I use South Carolina here because they have fewer wins. They only have 27 wins, but 13 of their wins have come against Q1, the best teams on their schedule. I mean, says something about that team and the way it can play, I think.
Well, no question, because we've seen them go out and they beat Ole Miss. And at the time, we thought Ole Miss was probably better than they were. They beat Texas, took a series from Texas, took a series from Vanderbilt. I mean, they have beaten some quality teams. The problem is not the 13 Q1 wins. How many losses, Phil, though, do they have against probably Q3 and Q4 teams this year? I mean, the losses to Xavier and Presbyterian and some of those midweek losses are just inexplicable, and that's what's going to keep them out of the NCAA tournament. They're not getting in, not going to get enough of a bump off their good wins to erase some of the horrible losses they had throughout the season.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and I did note that in the tweet. I can look it up for you here real quick, but yeah, it's more than you ordinarily would like to have. As soon as I get that information, I'll pass it on to you. But we look ahead to the South Carolina Florida game on Tuesday, and then Tuesday night over in Charlotte, and Smitty will be covering the ACC tournament as long as Clemson is there, which means he'll be there at least till Thursday because the Tigers play Tuesday, they get a day off on Wednesday, and they play on Thursday. So they play North Carolina on Tuesday night. Oh, yeah. Well, you don't think Clemson right now, D1 baseball has Clemson in as the number 64 team. 3 seed in Hattiesburg.
Then let me back up. I think Clemson's in the tournament regardless. I was referencing if they want to get into the semifinals, they have to win both of their games in their pool because being the lowest seeded team, they don't win a tiebreaker. So they've got to win both of their games. But no, in terms of the NCAAs, I think they're in. I think they've done enough already.
Yeah. Tigers RPI this week is at number 30. 35 and 21, and their strength of schedule overall 14, so that's very respectable.
Mm-hmm.
They are 13 and 16 in Q1 games. You asked the question about here was Clemson in the Q3 and Q4 games. They are 18 and 1 this year, so they cleaned up. They went 4-4 against Q2, but they cleaned up against the lesser lights on their schedule. The Gamecocks lost 4 games against Q3 and Q4 opponents and 5 games against Q2 opponents. So that's 7. That's 9 losses in those 3 categories. That kind of hurts them.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. If they were on the bubble, and they clearly aren't, but if they were on the bubble, that would keep them out, in my opinion. The bad losses override, to me, they're really, really good wins. And they've got some outstanding series wins. You can't take away the Texas and Vanderbilt and Ole Miss series wins that they have. But the problem is you can't explain how you can beat those good teams and then turn around and lose badly to some of those really, really bad teams.
All right. I tell you what, before we hit the break, I know, Pat, I said let's hit the break. Let's take Tiger Bryan because it's Monday, and it's Tiger Bryan Day here on Sports Talk. I know he's proud of his Andrew Jackson baseball team, which is having a great year, trying to win a state championship. And I know he's got some things to say. Tiger Bryan, I was at the beach this past weekend. It was Harley weekend, biker weekend. I swear I thought I saw you and your mama. When I say your mom, I mean your wife, on a Harley, on a hog down there. I saw somebody going past me with a big old tattoo of Danny Ford on his right arm, and a good-looking blonde on the back of the bike. I thought it was you.
Well, you gonna get me a divorce tonight, ain't you?
Oh, your wife.
Are you saying now?
Are you saying that your wife is not a good-looking blonde? It was somebody else.
I went down there. I played the fifth. Nah. Yeah, we still ride. We got two in the shop. We don't go down there. Yeah, we're too old for that. When you get past 35, 40 years old, you go down there 14, 15 years, and all that hoopla, and have kids. The thing, a lot of our young people need to learn responsibilities, don't they? And that's
would
what
help.
we finally learned, to have responsibilities. We had kids, Yeah, I stay home and listen to y'all. I bet a better time than that than going to the beach looking at them girls.
I agree. This is much better. I'd much prefer this too. You're exactly right.
I want to give a shout out. I got to give that a shout. AJ, that's my boys. I fixed air conditioning down there for 30 years. Go Balls. Hey, go team. My girls. What about my softball team? You ain't mentioned my softball team. Clemson softball girls. What did they do? They shut
Which
everybody
one? You talking about Buford?
No, Buford and Clemson.
Oh, yeah. Well, your Clemson softball team we should have mentioned that, Chris. Shame on you for not bringing it up.
Yeah, y'all got to do better than that now. I ain't going to quit listening, but I'm going to champ you when I can now.
Clemson
I didn't get to
softball
talk for the
team.
first half hour of the show. Let's make that clear.
I should have asked C.J. Spiller.
We got to go to Oklahoma State. Down there, Oklahoma. Oklahoma's
Stillwater, Oklahoma. That's right. Congratulations to the Clemson softball team. Not only do they win their regional, they did not allow a run. That's pretty doggone good. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. We'll see what they do now.
Give them girls some love too now. Yeah, I'm gonna give them.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Yeah.
I want to tell you this before you go. I know people, you got breaks and all that coming. I remember listening to your broadcast that night about C.J. Silver's mama talking about leaving, and hey, you was very professional. You didn't take no side. Yeah, because back then, man, you wasn't on good terms. I thought you was a Gamecock trader. I didn't know you was straight up. You know what I mean?
That was a sweat-inducing interview. I was perspiring heavily.
I
was sweating heavily after that was.
I was sweating about him leaving, Corn.
I bet. I was sweating over what his mother was saying. That had me concerned. So
I remember that.
All right, let us go. We thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. All right, Tiger Bryan. Latta. Hang on a second here now. Latta beat Buford. Latta eliminated Buford. Latta and Gray Collegiate are playing for the 2A softball championship, which that began tonight in Latta, I do believe. So sorry about your Buford team there, but they went down to a superior athletic force. The Latta Vikings, home of champions, beat them back on the 20th, 9-7. Back in a moment.
Hey folks, it's Mike Morgan for Gibson Insurance. Former Gamecock player Bo Mobley and former coach Stuart Lake want you on their team for all your insurance needs. Now, cost-effective solutions is what they're all about for the now and for the long term. They're licensed with every insurance company in the state. They've got offices in Columbia, Greenville, and Sumter. But if you're listening right now, let me direct you to call Bo and Stu today at 803-605-0029. That's 803-605-0029. Let my good friends take great care of you.
Show your team pride wherever you go with Founders Federal Credit Union's collegiate debit cards. Get your University of South Carolina and Clemson University debit cards at any Founders office or by calling 1-800-845-1614. Plus, our debit cards are digital wallet ready, so you can pay however you please. Not a member? Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our 37 convenient locations to see if you qualify for membership. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
We're with Major Billy Downer of DNR. Of course, hunting is very popular across the state of South Carolina. Major Downer, what things should our hunters be thinking about before they get out in the fields?
It seems like every other show we're talking about hunting safety of some sort. Whether it's turkey season or deer season, hunters always need to be aware of their target. Make sure before you pull that trigger that you know what you're looking at. Whether it's a turkey during turkey season or a deer during deer season, you know your identifying features of your game. You know what's beyond that target in case you miss.
Learn more about the great outdoors in South Carolina with Major Billy Downer on SC Wild here on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Is it time for recruiting already? My goodness. A lot of folks that I followed in recruiting are going into that big banquet room to go into the Hall of Fame, or they're already in the Hall of Fame. And you know who else should be in the Hall of Fame? The Food Preparation Hall of Fame, our good friends at Seawells, because, of course, their daily luncheon buffet is Hall of Fame quality every day from 11 till 2. It's only $13. You will walk away, shall we say, feeling good. No question about it. And, of course, the very best in the catering business, that's Seawells as well. Their phone number is 803-771-7385. You can get menu options online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. Big offensive tackle Ian Reed of Austin, Texas. Clemson is one of the primary schools for him at this point. He's going to start making official visits beginning this coming weekend, Tennessee. Then he's going to go to Oklahoma State after going to Clemson. Clemson gets the visit on the 3rd, and then one to Wisconsin, and then Oklahoma State on the 14th. So it's Tennessee coming up, then Clemson, then Wisconsin, and then Oklahoma State. He'll take an unofficial visit in there to Alabama on the 17th, and then he'll wrap things up with an official visit about 20 minutes from his home at the University of Texas. He was at Clemson for the spring game in April, and he and Thomas Austin are staying in regular contact, and it'll be a battle for the Tigers to try to win that one, but they're going to give it their best shot. USC will get one of the 4 official visits scheduled by defensive end Desmond Yumi Ozulu, 6'5", 220, out of Upper Marlboro, Maryland. He visited USC unofficially May 2nd. He went to Clemson the following day. He's had the Tigers on his short list as well, but he's not scheduled an official visit with them. He has scheduled officials to North Carolina June 3rd, USC June 10th, Pitt June 16th, and Ohio State June 24th. And he's not discounting the others on his short list, which include Clemson, Maryland, Texas, and Georgia. Linebacker Grayson Howard of Jacksonville named his top 5 yesterday. USC, Clemson, both on the list. Georgia, Florida, and Texas A&M, the others. He'll visit USC on the 24th. This spring, he visited USC, Clemson, Georgia, Florida, and Auburn. Had 157 tackles last season. USC in the top 10 with cornerback R.J. Johnson of McDonough, Georgia. And the others are Kentucky, Florida, Arkansas, LSU, Rutgers, Georgia Tech, Boston College, Wake Forest, and Louisville. He camped at USC last summer. And Clemson's going to be one of the 4 to get official visits from center Connor Lew out of Georgia. The others are Auburn, Georgia, and Miami. He just tweeted that out a little while ago this afternoon. So Clemson in line to get an official visit from Connor Lew. We'll give you more recruiting coming up. Plus, MJ Ward joins us to recap an exciting PGA.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart.
This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. At the World Economic Forum, IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva said today the outlook for the rest of 2022 is going to be hard for many people around the world.
We have commodity price shock in many countries, and the particular shock I want to bring our attention to is food price shock.
The outlook for the U.S. economy unusually cloudy as the war rages on in Ukraine and commodity prices are surging. New numbers are out about how many Americans feel the country is headed in the right direction versus the wrong one. Correspondent Bernie Bennett has more.
24% of likely U.S. voters think the country is heading in the right direction, according to New Rasmussen Report's National Telephone and Online Survey for the week ending May 19th. This week's finding is down 2 points from a week ago. The National Telephone Survey of 2,500 likely voters was conducted from May 15th to the 19th. The margin of error was plus or minus 2% with a 95% level of confidence.
That's Bernie Bennett reporting a presumptive case of monkeypox being investigated in South Florida.
Transmission is really happening from close physical contact.
That is WHO Emerging Diseases lead, Dr. Maria Van Kerkhove. Voters go to the polls tomorrow in 5 states, including Georgia, where Stacey Abrams is running again.
Abrams is benefiting from being unopposed in the Democratic primary for governor. She's the presumptive nominee, instead using the time to spread her message while Republicans have been fighting. Polls show a tight race with Republican Governor Brian Kemp narrowly ahead of David Perdue, who was recruited by former President Donald Trump. Abrams' campaign is sharpening attacks on both. Democrats also hope that Georgia's continued growth in non-white voters will aid Abrams.
That is correspondent Julie Walker. A booming session on Wall Street took the Dow up 618 points. More of these stories at townhall.com.
Now that DHS has created a department designed to combat disinformation, which is code for free speech they don't like, one has to wonder what's next. This is why I am a proud supporter of Patriot Mobile, America's only Christian conservative cell phone provider. They offer the same nationwide coverage as the major carriers, the same great service with peace of mind that your money is combating the left's attempt to silence you. Patriot Mobile supports organizations fighting for religious freedom, the Constitution, sanctity of life, and our veterans and first responders with plans to fit any budget, plus an excellent 100% US-based customer service team. Go to patriotmobile.com/GORKA or call 972-PATRIOT, free activation code GORKA. Also, special discounts for veterans and first responder heroes. Support a company that loves America and shares your values. patriotmobile.com/GORKA or 972-PATRIOT, patriotmobile.com/GORKA.
The head of the World Health Organization is warning that the pandemic is most certainly not over and told governments that they lower their guard at their own peril.
The UN Health Agency's Director General, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, told officials gathered in Geneva for the WHO's annual meeting that declining testing and sequencing means that we are blinding ourselves to the evolution of the virus. He says it's not over anywhere until it's over everywhere. In a report on the global situation released Thursday, the WHO said the number of new COVID-19 cases appears to have stabilized after weeks of decline since late March, while the overall number of weekly deaths has dropped. Ghebreyesus noted that 60% of the world's population has been vaccinated, but almost 1 billion people in lower-income countries still haven't received any shots. The Director General said vaccine hesitancy around the world has been fueled by disinformation. I'm Jennifer King.
Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
That is tonight's forecast. Cloudy with some showers lingering into the evening, and overnight lows dip to 68. Tomorrow, more clouds than sun and a 50% chance of afternoon showers. Look for less humidity, though, at a high of 86. Decent chance of showers every day of this work week. Looking ahead, the weekend looks great with sunshine and highs in the mid-80s. Brian Leonard with your on-point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Please press button now. No, number 1.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right. And welcome back inside Sports Talk on a Monday edition. Okay. We got him on time tonight, folks, too. Bravo.
I walked downstairs to get an iced tea. I didn't usually my body knows exactly how long 5 minutes is. So
okay.
How's
the iced tea? Was the iced tea worth it?
It's good. I just needed something wet, Needed something wet. Now I had to hustle back upstairs. Did you want to go ahead and say something since you opened up? Go ahead.
No. We are in the process of efforting to get MJ Award on us to recap the PGA Championship. In the meantime, if you'd like to join us here this evening, Phil's at the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame induction ceremonies in Columbia. Phone number on the Sports Talk Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. We'll get into the baseball. Plus, we'll talk some Fireflies baseball coming up just after 7:30. We go around the horn with John Kostis. We got to get those guys going.
I've got more.
Phil.
They lost. I think they lost every game.
7 games in a row, I believe they are.
Yeah.
So we got to light a fire under the Fireflies starting tonight.
And I've got more recruiting that I didn't get to before we hit the break. So let me wrap that up. That's okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So we mentioned Clemson made the top 4 for the official visits with offensive center. I say offensive center. Instead of offensive tackle, offensive guard, I put OC for center. Connor Liu, along with Auburn, Georgia, and Miami. 2024 receiver Mazio Bennett of Greenville was offered by North Carolina. And South Carolina handed out a bunch of offers latter part of the week. In the 23 class, linebacker Jalen Smith of Loganville, Georgia. In the 24 class, defensive tackle Nasir Smith of Loganville. Safety Tyson White of Buford, Georgia. In the 25 class, linebacker Andre Fuller of Loganville, Georgia. And in the 26 class, defensive end Tyler Atkinson of Loganville, Georgia. Tight end Olson Henry has set an official to Clemson for June 3rd. Defensive tackle Stephion Green has done the same, and linebacker D. Creighton further confirmed his official to Clemson the same weekend. 2024 corner Tavoy Fagan of Tampa plans to visit Clemson June 2nd, Alabama June 4th, Jackson State June 5th, and LSU on June the 6th. USC target offensive tackle Oluwatosin Babalodi was offered by Ohio State. USC target linebacker Justin Jefferson offered by Southern Cal. And Clemson target receiver Noah Rogers offered by Alabama. And I think that is it. Coastal Carolina transfer basketball Taj Thweet has committed to Temple per On3 Sports. You remember much about him, Chris?
No, he never played a second.
Thweet?
He transferred into the program and transferred out before ever stepping on the floor. So
one of
can't
those.
add
Okay.
much. You can't add much. I will say this, though, since you're at the Athletic Hall of Fame before it gets to MJ, they tweeted out a picture of the enshrinement jackets that they wear. Very tasteful, a lot less gaudy than the Hall of Fame jackets that the NFL players get. I like them. Kind of a navy blue with
it's
the
kind
patch.
of not quite a navy blue. I don't think it's quite that dark. It's a little like a in between a powder blue and a navy blue.
Right.
That kind of a blue. Not a light blue, not a dark blue, but yeah, they look good. They look good. And the guys who are and gals, the men and women who are on the committee for the Hall of Fame, they have like camel color sport jackets that they wear that look good. They kind of distinguish them. Before we get to MJ, let's tell you what's happening with the USC women at the NCAA championships, because they had to win a playoff against Wake Forest yesterday to make the top 15. They won that playoff by a stroke, and now they are trying to work their way up to the top 8 so they can play in the match play portion, and they have just finished their round. They did okay today. They went 1 under par today, which is, as best I can tell, 1 under par is the best score of the day that has been recorded. And just a couple of teams are, there's a handful of teams still out there. I'm sorry. But the Gamecocks are in. They shot 1 under today. That leaves them at 38 over. So their work is done. They are 8 shots off the cut. And right now, let's see, Georgia is in at plus 30. San Jose State is on the course at plus 30. So what the Gamecocks need, of course, are some of these teams that are above the cut who are still playing, and that's the majority of them, to really foul up down the stretch. Their best bet would be, Auburn's at plus 26, but they're late in their round. Florida State's plus 27. San Jose State's plus 30. LSU is still playing. They're at plus 35. No, it doesn't look like there's any way mathematically that the Gamecocks could make it into the top 8. So they made it to the top 15. Right now they're tied for 13th. Looks like their tournament run will end there. Today for the Gamecocks, as far as the best score for them this particular round, Hannah Darling turned in a 69. That's really good. 3 under par. Louise Rehnquist had a 72. So looks like it's going to be over for USC, and now we'll wait and see what the College of Charleston can do in the men's championship beginning later this week out in Scottsdale, Arizona as well. With that said, let's welcome in MJ Ward back to Sports Talk. He was at the PGA Championship. Missed him on Friday. He was a little bit under the weather, but he is back with us and feeling much better. And what a great finish to the tournament. That would make anybody feel better, MJ, watching the way that thing finished up with the late collapse and the rally there by JT to win his second PGA.
Yeah, the PGA Championship has really come into its own on a couple of factors. I mean, one of them being scheduled in May. I think one of the things that has to really be stated is that the setup of the golf course and the way that they do the playoffs now, it's no longer just one hole, because on one hole you could have one good shot played by one player and the other player misses, and as a result you could have the end of the playoff quickly. But by doing a 3-hole aggregate, you really have a fascinating combination of events that can take place over 3 holes with the strategy that's in play. And you saw it with the holes that were selected, so that there was a lot of decision making that was going to take place on the 3 holes that were played, which was the 13th, the 17th, and the 18th holes at Southern Hills. But overall, it was a tremendous comeback by Justin Thomas. I mean, he was 7 shots back starting the round. He was 8 back as late as the 3rd or 4th hole, I believe, of the final round. And it just tells you in a major championship, it's never over. Things can happen. It happened yesterday. And unfortunately, for one of the golfers, and I have to use the expression that Dottie Pepper used on the telecast, there could be some scar tissue involved because, you come to the 18th hole and it's really pretty clear. You make par, you win the Wanamaker Trophy, $2.1 million, and you get all the exemptions into the key tournaments. And it didn't work out that way. It was really an amazing confluence of different things that happened. But one of the most important things that really took place in the championship, and it reinforced itself yesterday, was you saw on the leaderboard a number of young players who are now making their mark. Clearly at the top of the list among young players who's really on the cusp of winning his own first major is Will Zalatoris. He really handled himself well. He really put things in order when he made a key putt on the 18th hole to maintain his position with Justin Thomas. But to give credit to where it deserves, I mean, Justin Thomas hung in there. He had the toughest part of the draw on Thursday and Friday in dealing with the heat and the high winds, shooting both rounds of 67 And then on Saturday, when the weather really flipped, I mean, we're talking about a 40-degree drops in temperature. You also had some spattering of rain, not a lot, but certainly it was impacting some play. And he was able to pull it together. And, he did have 74, but he was not out of it. And 7 shots back is a lot to make up on a given day. But the pressures that are involved with major championship golf were front and center yesterday, and it really provided the kind of theater that makes major championships be what they are. They set the terms in terms of the history of the game, and those who are able to survive and succeed are the people that are going to be remembered for a long time to come. And as being the son of a PGA professional, and obviously his grandfather was an active player, played in high-level competitions, including the U.S. Open, it's amazing to see that now Justin Thomas gets his second major. People have always thought that he would get there at some point, given his talent, but now he has really taken his game to another level. And, with the U.S. Open coming up ahead, there's going to be a lot of interesting storylines that come from Oklahoma as we go into Boston in the middle of June.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking to MJ Ward, fresh off the PGA Championship that wrapped up in overtime yesterday with Justin Thomas winning in a playoff, an exciting finish to the PGA Championship. Will Zalatoris makes another fine showing. He's going to break through with a major here before too much longer. Cameron Young. And what about the collapse by Mito? And you mentioned about, the residual effect of that. I mean, what's the feeling among folks on the tour about how he will deal with this? We've seen many a golfer over the years in majors, looking to make a name for themselves. They're not necessarily the type of guy that's on the tip of your tongue when you think of the top golfers, and they have their chance. It slips through their fingers, never to be heard from again. How do you think he will respond?
I think, Phil, that's always the key question. You know what, really, I think if anybody was watching the telecast closely, the real key hole in this whole process was not the 18th hole, but it was the 17th hole, because that's where Justin Leonard went into a frontal bunker. He blasts out, makes birdie, and now Mio comes up behind him. He hits a really a decent shot. He's in front of the green, has a really basic chip shot or pitch shot to the flag, and instead of getting it within what would be normal for a professional of the caliber of him and others like him to get it within 3-4 feet, he left himself 12 feet, and the putt came up just short, and that set the terms for how the 18th hole was going to be played, because if he makes that putt, he has a 2-shot lead with 1 hole to play, and then, of course, he can bogey the last hole and still win the championship. But then, with that missed putt, he has to come to the 18th hole and make par. I still don't know what his thinking was in any logical way about what he was attempting to do with the driver's swing that he made. It looked like a guy who's reaching for his keys in a phone booth from years back. I mean, it was just a horrific swing. He cut it off on the bottom, and he played a fade, which obviously faded too much, and it just went into the creek that protects the hole. This has happened in the past. I mean, Phil Mickelson did something of a similar sort at Wingfoot at the 2006 U.S. Open. A bogey would have gotten Phil into a playoff with Jeff Ogilvy. He makes double bogey, and then he loses the whole thing. And as far as what will happen to Mio, in terms of his career and what goes on, that's hard to say. Some people take the defeats that go on and use them to spur on what's happened. I mean, many years ago, Tom Watson was known, and I hate to use the word choker, but it was told that Tom Watson had blown key leads in key events and would never be able to be the player that he can be. Now, we know what has happened, obviously, since then. Tom Watson, won 8 major championships, one of the greats in the game, and he used that as a motivation to become the player he became. So it's hard to say with any speculation that somebody's going to be one way or the other from it. But I just think that when he got to the 18th hole, the dialogue that would have happened, it would have been really interesting if CBS would have cut out all the dialogue with all the announcers and really just put a microphone right on that spot. Everybody pipes down. If Frank Tricinian was the lead producer for CBS Golf, which he was for many, many years, it's time to really shut off all the other people talking and find out what is going on as best as can be between caddy and player. Because as you know, when they got to the camera of him swinging, they really jumped right to it. I mean, there was no delay of any sort. But at that point in time, that was the shot that really needed to be diagnosed with the banter between player and caddy to decide how was he going to play this shot and to see what was going through his mind. Of all the places to miss the ball, to miss it to the right, only exacerbated the situation that he had to face at that point. But to be fair, I mean, and to his credit, he did come on the telecast. He did have a chance to talk with one of the CBS people, as the tournament was evolving. A lot of guys have ducked interviews of that sort. I mean, Rory McIlroy didn't do any interviews the other day. Tiger Woods bailed out. So he showed a lot of class by going into an interview on which literally your life has now changed within 5 to 10 minutes. He could have simply gone into a cocoon, and I don't think anybody would have held it against him, but he did not do that. And I think down the line that may be a benefit that he'll find when he plays in a similar situation. But he did mention that he really could not sleep as well last night, given a 3-shot lead in a major championship, and how the pressures of the moment became what they became. But that also speaks to the volume level of what Justin Thomas is able to do, because he was able to play one precise shot with the next. It helps to have a guy on his bag like Jim Mackay, who's the caddy for Phil Mickelson. Justin Thomas showed why he is among the world's finest players. He did not make the mental errors that other people made down the stretch. And as a result of that, he was able to then cart away his second Wanamaker trophy.
And you had another tease job, I guess we should say, by Rory, who came out roaring and looked like maybe he was going to break that winless streak in majors, but then he faded away until Sunday, like he typically does. He comes back and plays well on Sunday. I got to believe he's getting more and more frustrated with his major performances at this point after going so long between since his last major victory.
Well, I'm a big Rory McIlroy fan. I admire his candor. I think he took himself down a half of a peg by blowing off the media interviews that he could have really. He has done interviews when he's not played well. I don't want to make it sound like Rory is one of these types that simply disappears when he plays poorly. He has shown up. He did not show up the other day. It's inexplicable, because I will tell you, I was there to see it in person, walking with the group on Thursday in his first round. When he's on form, as I said to you when we talked on Thursday evening, he is something to watch. But, Rory, for whatever the reasons are, and it's hard to put anything in the box and say, well, that's the reason for it. But for somebody to play that well and to have that kind of talent and to somehow be stuck on 4 majors, and we're almost approaching, I wouldn't say we're 8 years now and counting since the last time he won a major championship. It's very hard for me or any of the writers that I know of to explain how this could be given his talent. But I will tell you this, I mean, in the world of professional golf today, the talent level across the board is extremely high. The differentials that are involved here are very minor. In fairness, there was other players that did not play well this past week. Scotty Scheffler comes to mind. Dustin Johnson is somehow in a fog right now in terms of his play. He missed the cut. Rory had an opportunity when he took the lead. That was the moment to keep the pedal down, like he did at Congressional when he won the U.S. Open in 2011, and when he won at Kiowa in 2012 at the PGA Championship. So what has happened to him is hard to fathom. The only good side to this, for all the people that I just mentioned, is that you have 2 more major championships coming up, probably the 2 most important championships of the year, the National Championship of American Golf at the Country Club and the 150th Open Championship at the Old Course at St. Andrews. So, there's still a lot to be played out here in the balance of what goes on, but major championships define careers. Make no mistake about it. Those players who have played well in major championships are lionized for the rightful reasons, because they are able to step it up when it counts. And that includes people like Nicklaus and Tiger Woods, Tom Watson, Gary Player, et cetera, et cetera. Justin Thomas took his name to another level. When a lot of people may have an opportunity to win one major, when you get into two majors, you remove the luck situation and you really reaffirm the skills that you have as a player. And he did that yesterday, and he did it underneath trying circumstances, because a lot of people starting 7 shots back, the first thing they would be doing is, when does my plane leave from Tulsa? That would be the first thing they'd be thinking about. He didn't do that. And now he walks away with a Wanamaker trophy, and he puts himself in a position, potentially, to earn another major championship with the balance of play. This is a hungry guy. This is not somebody who is satiated simply because he's won. He is looking to do more with his career. And I actually think that Justin has a fire in his belly, because there's been a lot of print and a lot of ink written about other American players, whether it's Jordan Spieth or Brooks Koepka or DJ, because they've won, more than, two major championships, each of them. I think Justin feels that his time is now, and he's going to take advantage of it. And he has an opportunity with the 2 other majors coming, this year.
Another minute or two with MJ Ward recapping the PGA Championship and Justin Thomas's win in a playoff against Will Zalatoris. And MJ, when Tiger Woods was in his dominant phase of his career, the conventional thinking was, let's Tiger-proof a golf course. And basically it was just make it longer. And to me, it always seemed like that took a lot of other players out of the mix and made it easier for him to win. So are we going back the other way, and is now the ultimate revenge for course setups to have impossible to reach greens on par 3s like we had at Southern Hills this weekend, where you've got par 3s that are actually play like par 4s and make par 70 golf courses maybe the future of major championships?
Well, I will put it this way. I'll answer it the other way around. I think so much of golf has gotten into the mechanics of how you swing the club. But when you get down to the brass tacks of it, it's who's got the best mental game to break through. And the highlight of Jack Nicklaus's career is the 6 inches between his left ear and his right ear. I mean, that's how that man won 18 major championships and finished second in 19 major championships. It's the reason why Tiger Woods, with all his physical skills, which are considerable, his mental ability to know what shot to play at the right moment. If you watched yesterday's telecast, one of the key moments came on the first playoff hole, par 5, opportunity to get there in 2. Justin Thomas has Will Zalatoris ahead of him by a few yards. He knows that Zalatoris is going to go for the green. Inexperienced players might have attempted to go for the green from a dicey lie in the rough, and you have water in front of the green. Thomas didn't do that. He laid up to a yardage that he could play a solid wedge shot from 80 yards away, knocks it up there about 5 feet, then makes the putt to tie Zalatoris for the hole. Game management in any sport is really where you see the finest come to the top of the line, because the talent level in terms of hitting a golf ball is not that much of a difference between, many of the players, even the elite players. But when you get into those big time moments, you've got to be able to know if it's a long par 3 or it's a short par 4, how much of a risk can you take given the circumstances that are involved. Golf is a game not of how many great shots that you make, it's how many poor ones that you can avoid. That's really the testament to why Jack Nicklaus is talked about, or Ben Hogan, or Tiger Woods. Justin Thomas and Jim Mackay, when they came down the stretch, they were calculating each and every situation to the best level of their ability. And Justin proved his execution strategy by the scores that he made and by the way he pulled this all off. He had to have a little help. I mean, if Mito goes out and wins it on 18 with a par, we wouldn't be talking about Justin Thomas right now. We'd be talking about the first Chilean to win a major championship and only the third South American to do that. So, circumstances change, but game management underneath major championship pressure is always going to be the deciding factor between who gets the winner's trophy and who is going to be going back to the 19th hole questioning why I did this or why I didn't do that. So in reality, the PGA Championship came down to the right person making the right calls and then doing the execution to make it happen.
All right, MJ, before we let you go, can you advise us of what food groups not to eat when we visit Tulsa? Got about 30 seconds. What should we avoid when we visit Tulsa?
Well, I would say this much: don't call MJ for any Uber Eats or DoorDash where to go. That would be for sure. I can tell you that. I have a full appreciation. I just want to say thanks to the people who helped me when I had some food poisoning issues that happened on Friday. They were really superb and helped me out. Tulsa's a great place. It's just probably something that I ate didn't agree with me, but I'll put it this way: I'm very fortunate that I had the right people at the right time, and everything works out well. And it's always a pleasure to be with you guys, as always. And I'm hopeful to see what will happen in the U.S. Open in a few weeks. It'll be certainly interesting to see who will walk away with the National Championship of American Golf.
Thank you, MJ. We'll be in touch. We'll talk to you up in Boston when that rolls around. MJ Ward, glad he's back on his feet and with us. Back after the break.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy with some showers lingering into the evening and overnight lows dip to 68. Tomorrow, more clouds than sun and a 50% chance of afternoon showers. Look for less humidity, though at a high of 86. Decent chance of showers every day of this work week. Looking ahead, the weekend looks great with sunshine and highs in the mid-80s. Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
You've seen the news. You've talked to your friends. You may have even looked around yourself. Home prices are nuts. Seems like no one is offering any kind of discount, except Lexington Discount Homes. Discount is their middle name. Quality homes that fit your budget with the size, model, and floor plan that your family needs. You can still afford your dream home at Lexington Discount Homes. Augusta Highway near Ballpark Road, 803-951-1900 or LexingtonDiscountHomes.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I don't eat enough fruits and vegetables. I know I don't. I mean, I try, but how much can you really shove in your face during the day? So the best solution for me is Balance of Nature, which I really feel better with it. So, I mean, ever since I got the first bottle of it, I take my 3 of each, every day. I have a lot more energy than I had in a long time because of the Balance of Nature. I feel a lot more peppy and I have a little more endurance. I feel a lot better. I do.
Get a wide variety of all your daily recommended servings of whole fruits and vegetables without having to leave your home. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code BALANCE.
I'm already a big fan of Medicare Blueprint. Tim and his team saved me several $1,000s. They took a look at my health insurance. They helped me get the best possible plan. But not long ago, I reached out when we had a crisis. The big bad insurance company out of nowhere just canceled Mom's medicine for her multiple sclerosis. No warning, 30 years, same med, and just like that, gone. Here's the good news. Medicare Blueprint doesn't work for the insurance companies. They work for you. They're local. Imagine me trying to get this fixed, calling some national toll-free number. Outsourced operators never talk to the same person twice. Medicare Blueprint went to work, helped me get Mom's meds back, and how's this? Even less expensively than we were paying before. Incredible customer service and local. What a great formula. Oh, and it cost me nothing for their services. Nothing. Whether you're on Medicare or not, my mom is, I'm not. Medicare Blueprint help both of us. Online, it's MedicareBlueprint.com or call them 708-7398. That's 708-7398.
When you're a military veteran with over 40,000 organizations trying to help you, it can be hard to find the right information. That's why AARP brings together valuable resources to help you navigate your options. AARP.org/veterans. With the free veteran employment and fraud prevention resources, caregiving tools and access to discounts, AARP on a mission to support veterans. Visit AARP.org/veterans today.
Hi, honey. I am so excited about finally taking our vacation out of the country.
Me too. We've waited 2 years for this.
But we still have plenty to do before we leave for our trip.
You're right. The travel agent said we have to have negative COVID tests.
Lucky for us, we have True Pharmacy. They can take care of all of our COVID needs.
They do travel testing too?
Yes. Isn't it great to know we have such a great pharmacy to take care of us?
True Pharmacy, 2 locations, Charleston Highway in West Columbia and Divine Street in Columbia.
You know what? I get asked every now and then, Kev, when you say my guy, do you really have a my guy at Palmetto Exterminators? Well, I really do. Ron Byers is my guy. Do you realize I've been a customer of Palmetto Exterminators for 20 years this summer? That's over the course of 3 homes, longer than my kids have been around. I'm loyal to Palmetto Exterminators for several reasons. First, they do a phenomenal job with pest control for a very fair price. It's just not a concern around my home. They take care of everything from regular visits to termite inspection, mosquito care. This is a company that's been around for more than 60 years serving the Midlands. When they come around, they're clean, they're courteous, and they're on time. Look, it's not just me. When it comes to things like those pesky mosquitoes, Palmetto Exterminators voted best of Columbia in Columbia Metropolitan for their mosquito control. I could have told you that before anyone even voted. What else can you possibly need from your pest control company? If you're looking for someone to help you, look no further than my guy, Ron Byers, Palmetto Exterminators. Online, it's palmettoexterminators.net or call them 254-5833, 254-5833.
Okay, we're back on Sports Talk here on the late evening of this Monday night from the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. The classes of 20 and 22 are being inducted as we speak. Banquet's going on downstairs. I went into the banquet hall during the top of the hour break. It's massive and it's jammed with people. They're having a great time. Got a live orchestra in there, and it's just a really, really great event. You got some terrific people being inducted tonight. A couple of other recruiting notes just coming down. A USC target, defensive tackle Joel Starlings out of Richmond, Virginia. He committed tonight to North Carolina after taking an official visit to North Carolina over the weekend. He was scheduled to visit South Carolina October 21st officially, and he had officials to West Virginia and Oklahoma set up for first couple of weekends in June, but he has opted to go ahead and take that offer and that commitment to the North Carolina Tar Heels. And also tonight, defensive end Shandavian Bradley, 6'5", 210, out of Platte City, Missouri. Very highly regarded defensive end prospect. Has well, these aren't official visits, I don't believe, based on his tweet, but he's tweeted out that he's going to visit Tennessee this week, and he is going to be visiting Clemson on June the 7th and South Carolina on June the 8th. Does not sound like official visits, just sounds like unofficial drop-in types visits, but they're getting this guy on campus. Obviously, he is widely recruited, one of those coast-to-coasters as far as the recruitment is concerned. But South Carolina, Clemson apparently will be getting a visit each from him in June. So a couple of other recruiting notes to drop in on you as the evaluation period comes to an end. On May 31st, you heard C.J. Spiller when he was with us say that he's off the road now, and the evaluation period ends on the 31st, and then we get into camp season. And, of course, now in June, just a ton of official visits for both USC and Clemson. Clemson very heavy the weekend of June 3rd, and South Carolina very heavy the weekends of June 10th and June 24th. So we'll be keeping you informed and staying on top of that as best as possible. A few other quick notes, and then we'll hit a few phone calls. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. Our new poll question of the week as we check out a few quick notes on our notebook brought to you by Founders Federal, where you can get a mortgage note as low as 3.587%. Founders Federal notebook here on Sports Talk. So the new poll question of the week looks like this. We did South Carolina last week, so how about Clemson this week? What grade would you give the Clemson overall athletic program in 21-22? 223 votes in one day, so a good start voting-wise, Chris, for this question. A lot of people responding. And thus far, 36.3% give the Tigers a B. 30% give them an F. 27.8% give them a C. 5.8% give them an A. 30% give them an F. Now, let's think about it. They won a national championship in soccer.
Right.
They won 10 football games. They beat South Carolina. They won a bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
The men's basketball team came up short. The women's basketball team was awful. The I'm trying to think, where else were they good? Of course, their softball team they're still alive for the chance of national championship. Their baseball team is, as it looks right now, possibly going to make the NCAA tournament. So that'd be a positive. Both golf teams made regionals but didn't advance. So anyway, they again, when you win a national championship, your football team wins 10 games, you win a bowl game. Their basketball programs, they got to pick it up. I know Brad Brownell knows he's got to pick it up, and the women's program has really got to find some players.
Yeah. They're going to have a hard time. Clemson's in a similar boat, that maybe not to the degree that South Carolina is trying to build a football program when you already have one dominant program in the state. That's the problem that Amanda Butler and the Clemson women's team has. I mean, you're going up against a juggernaut in women's basketball, not just in your state, but nationally now, and it's going to be awfully difficult. Plus, they're in a league that's tough, and it's not going to wait on them. With teams like NC State getting a whole lot better. Louisville is really, really good. I mean, the ACC in women's basketball, maybe not to the degree of the SEC, but it's a darn good league, especially Notre Dame. I mean, it's not going to wait on Clemson to get better. That's a major, major challenge for them. But there's no way it's an F. It's just like Carolina last week. There's no way it's an F. I understand why you don't give them an A, but I think it's probably a pretty solid B, isn't it? I mean, a really solid B for Clemson athletics this year. Especially if their if their softball team goes to the College World Series. And Phil, I think they've got a really legitimate shot to go to Oklahoma State this weekend and win that Super.
Really? No, I don't know a thing about it. Except, I don't know the thing about Oklahoma State. I know that those teams out there, they're really, really good in softball. That's why they play the national championship tournaments always in Oklahoma City, right?
Well, all you need to know about Oklahoma State is they beat Oklahoma, which is the number one team in the country and by far and away the best team in the country. They beat them in the Big 12 championship game to win the Big 12 tournament. And they did not get rewarded with a really, really high seed. They're a 7 seed, Clemson the 10 seed, so that's why they're on the road at Oklahoma State. But I like the setup John Rittman has with his team. He's got two pitchers who have pitched really, really well. They can score some runs, and they're really good on the inside the circle. I think they've got a shot. I'm not saying that they'll go win, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere like it was last year when they first got into NCAA regional and had to go to Alabama and just were outclassed. They're a whole lot better this year than they were last year.
Did I see where Alabama got beat in their regional?
Stanford knocked them out.
Wow. How about that? One more quick recruiting note just coming out. A running back Clemson's in on, Jeremiah Cobb, out of Alabama. He's named his top 6: Clemson, Auburn, Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, and Texas. With that, we go to Keith in Camden. Keith, good to have you with us on this Hall of Fame night on Sports Talk. How are you?
Great. How are you guys?
Couldn't be better.
Good. Well, look, I love your poll question. Why don't you and Terry consider this? Maybe do a poll question. How do we rate Ray Tanner's hiring since he's been the AD? That might be a good one. You know?
Well, now Ray is here. I saw him going into the banquet hall. He's here. Would you like me to go ask him that for you?
Look, you can tell him I proposed the question. Yeah. But look, no, serious note, and I'll hang up. Highlight on the men's basketball. How many guys did you know and their names that stayed, and where we stand overall on that, if you have a minute?
On the South Carolina basketball team?
Yeah, because I've kind of given up on baseball, so I thought I'd switch to basketball tonight. Love y'all show. Y'all enjoy tonight.
Thank you. The ones that stayed behind, I guess what you can call them, right, Chris? The ones that stayed behind: Chico Carter Jr., Javon Benson, Trayvon Minot. This is as of now. Everything is subject to change. So you got Chico Carter Jr., you got Javon Benson, you got Trayvon Minot, you got Josh Gray, and you got Jacoby Wright. Those are the ones who have stayed with them. So you add that to the transfer group, which is quite large. You look at who Lamont Paris has been able to bring in the transfer portal, John, and the two freshmen that are coming in who look like good players. Zachary Davis, a 6'8" point guard, and Daniel Hankins-Sanford, who's 6'7". And then you add Troy Boynton to that, 6'5", Hayden Brown to that, 6'5", Michi Johnson, 6'2", Abrima Diba, who I hear great things about. I mean, you know him. Yeah. If anybody knows this guy's game, it's you. It's 6'6". Read some stories on him, and people are really high on him.
Terrific defender, can pass like nobody's business. I mean, not to the degree that, say, Magic Johnson is, but sort of envision that size. You know, it's 6'6". He's a point guard. You don't normally see guys that size. Not quite Magic size is 6'9", but, I mean, he is a terrific ball handler, great passer, sees the court as well as anybody, and terrific defender. Now, if you want him to go score you 25 points a game, that's not who he is. So they're going to have to get scoring from other people on the floor. That's what Ebo, that was his nickname at Coastal. That's what Ebo does. He gets everybody else involved. He's almost to the point, and Cliff Ellis tried to almost pleaded with him to be more selfish. He's about as unselfish a basketball player as you could possibly meet. He's a great addition to USC, though.
And the other one is a transfer from Illinois, Benjamin Bosmans-Verdonk, who, of course, I've already given him the nickname Verdunk whenever he gets a chance to dunk at South Carolina. I mean, if you looked at pictures of this guy, Benjamin Bosmans-Verdonk, who is from Belgium, he is physically fit. I mean, he is one hunk of a man when you look at his pictures, Chris. It looks like he can play a lot. Now, he's had foot injuries, and that has to concern you. Foot injuries for big men, hard to overcome sometimes. He's been dealing with that in his career.
No doubt. And he was on a really, really good basketball team at Illinois and had to play behind some outstanding players and a guy who was in the running for National Player of the Year. And so, I mean, he certainly should come with some skills and have watched Kofi Cockburn enough that he should be able to, hopefully, from a South Carolina standpoint, translate some of that knowledge into solid play along the inside. But you're right. Big men with foot injuries, that's always a major concern.
And guys, don't forget, there's a wild card out there as well. Lamont Paris's former player, Malachi Smith, SoCon Player of the Year. He is still yet to commit somewhere in the transfer portal. He's been working out for some NBA teams, but it looks like right now he's leaning towards Louisville or the NBA, but he may want to reunite with his former coach in Columbia as well.
Well, that would be big. That would be big if they could get him. But like you said, it looks like right now his interest might be somewhere else. All right, let's hit the break here on Sports Talk, and we'll come back and get a visit from John Kosis, play-by-play voice of the Fireflies. Is there a victory in their near future as they go on a long road trip after a homestand that did not go well from a one-loss standpoint? But then again, minor league baseball, you know what it is. It's about developing the players and moving them on up the line. We'll get John's thoughts coming up after the break.
Life. It has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
Parents ask, what's the best way to save for college? I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and my answer is always open a Future Scholar 529 college savings account. It's easy. You can get started online with any amount. It's flexible to adapt to your child's college dreams. And you can deduct 100% of your contributions from the South Carolina state tax return. So what are you waiting for? Go to futurescholar.com and see why it's the smart, easy way to save for college. futurescholar.com.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
We're with Major Billy Downer of DNR. Of course, hunting is very popular across the state of South Carolina, Major Downer.
What things should our hunters be thinking about before they get out in the fields?
It seems like every other show we're talking about hunting safety of some sort. Whether it's turkey season or deer season, hunters always need to be aware of the target. Make sure before you pull that trigger that you know what you're looking at. Whether it's a turkey during turkey season or a deer during deer season, you know your identifying features of your game. You know what's beyond that target in case you miss.
Learn more about the great outdoors in South Carolina with Major Billy Downer on SC Wild here on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, John Kostis of the Fireflies joining us. Before we get to John, I need to mention this. We have not touched on this. Should have. Bad on us. Clemson's Max Wagner was named the ACC Player of the Year. You know, we had talked about, guys, can you win the Player of the Year for a team that yes? Yeah. Can you win the Player of the Year award when, your team is not going great? And he proved that you can if you hit all those home runs and do the other things that he did well for Clemson. So he wins that award in the ACC. And also, it's been made official now. Will Sanders will start for South Carolina on Tuesday in their game against the Florida Gators. And that gives the Gamecocks at least a fighting chance in that ball game, I would say. And with that, we welcome John Kostis, play-by-play voice of the Columbia Fireflies, to Sports Talk. John, how you doing, sir? Good to have you with us.
I'm doing well. Great to be on Sports Talk as always, guys. And yeah, Will Sanders, good arm to have going. A couple good arms moved to Columbia this last week.
Who'd you get? Well, you talked about the big one last week. Who else came in that did well for you?
So Friday evening, it was, I think I got the call at like 11 o'clock at night, but Ben Caderna, the second-round pick, was officially making his way to Columbia, and this shows you how baseball works. He got the start on Saturday. So he was in town for less than 24 hours when he threw his start, and he got the loss in the start, but got the loss striking out 5 hitters and allowing only 1 hit. The 1 hit translated into a home run after a couple of wild pitches, but 1 hit, 5 strikeouts, 3 2/3 innings, and once he hit 50 pitches, he was done. He's another high school draftee.
And then you had, of course, the earlier in the week, the player that you had mentioned to us who was even more highly prized get his start.
Yeah, Frank Mazzucato. Mazzucato, 7th overall pick, Caderna, 43rd overall pick, and then you got Carter Jensen, who I want to say was 73rd overall, and Jensen is the catcher for the two. So you'll see that pairing used quite a bit. There's another arm for the Royals, Shane Panzini, who was drafted in the 4th round. Panzini's still in Arizona right now, but they called Panzini, Caderna, and Mazzucato the 3 amigos after they got drafted. They did instructs together. They did everything in spring training together, and they started and extended together. My guess is, and I don't know any official things, the Royals haven't shared that with me yet, but my guess is because the 2 came up, it's not going to be too long until Panzini comes up, and that'll be 3/5 of the Fireflies rotation. It's going to be those high school draftees, which again just reinforces how young this team is going to be the rest of the way.
Absolutely. But it's about learning and instruction and developing and moving on at this stage of minor league baseball, really every stage of minor league baseball. But these are competitors. The coaches are competitors. They've played at the highest level, and they want to win. And I got to believe this losing is somewhat frustrating for everybody.
I can tell you going down in the clubhouse after the game and talking to Tony Pena Jr. before the game, they don't like the result from a score perspective. There are things they like about the games. You know, when Mazzucato started, he threw 2 letter-high fastballs that he set up with curveballs in the dirt, right? Changing the eye level, changing the velocity that generated strikeouts in the first inning that he pitched. that's something really great to see, especially because the two guys he struck out, 24 and 25 years old, so 5 and 6 years his senior. And then Caderna, when he came in, he threw 3 different pitches for strikes, and I didn't even know he had a slider, but the way that our system was picking up his pitches, it said that 4th pitch, a slider, which he said he's been working on gripping things differently, but that 4th pitch came through a couple of times. So good command of the fastball change and curve, and it seems like he's working on a slider. Pretty dangerous for a 19-year-old to be doing that.
John Costas of the Columbia Fireflies with us for a few more moments here tonight on Sports Talk. And John, with the 3 amigos that will ultimately be in Columbia, does Tony Pena Jr. as the manager, does he have sort of free reign to manage them as he wants? Or does Kansas City send down a directive saying, look, these are some of our highest prospects within our farm system. You need to take care of them. After 40 pitches, yank them out. After, make sure they get 5-6 days rest from Mazzucato, for instance, on the mound. How does he manage them versus what Kansas City wants to see him manage?
Yeah, so they have a little bit of leeway. I think Caderna ended up throwing 53 pitches, but you can't face another batter after you throw your 50th pitch. So he ended up walking a guy on his 53rd pitch, and there were 2 outs, a runner on first that he had just walked in the top of the 4th when they yanked Caderna. Mazzucato made it through 3 innings. I think he had 48 pitches. This was Wednesday now, so having a little bit of trouble remembering, but it was less than 50, and they took him out. So still being ultra conservative, and I imagine that's the way they're going to be. Fortunately, the way that the Royals have operated the 2 years the Columbia Fireflies have been associated with the Royals is they keep the first person out of the bullpen stretched out like a starter too. They can throw up to 60, 70 pitches. So we're seeing those piggyback guys still able to go deep enough into the game. And what that means is as Mazzucato, Caderna get stretched out a little bit more and they're throwing, through the 4th inning, you get that piggyback guy to come in. He's going to throw 3 or 4 innings. And then you're in the 7th or the 8th inning having only thrown 2 pitchers and it'll seem normal. So these first couple of weeks might be a little bit shaky in terms of having to use a lot of bullpen arms and running out of hot arms. But by the end of the season, it should be reflective of what the Royals are looking for, where it's 2 arms get you through the 8th, and then you have high leverage bullpen arms that are pitching 1 inning in the 9th or 1 inning in the 8th to set them up for what they're looking at in the majors.
That's fascinating
John?
stuff. I mean, it really is.
John, I was going to say that you guys leave the comforts of home now. You got a pretty lengthy road trip coming up, don't you?
Yeah, back-to-back weeks. So starting tomorrow, the team's rolling on to Lynchburg, and then Salem's about 50 miles to the east of Lynchburg. So they kind of put those 2 Virginia teams in the same road trip, which is fortunate. It's less really long bus rides.
Absolutely. Well, listen, you enjoy and see if you can get some W's on the road and come back to Columbia with some wins, and we'll talk to you next week in between those visits.
Sounds perfect, guys. I look forward to it.
Thanks, John.
Thank you so much. Okay, John Costas doing his job despite the travails of his team. He's just calling the plays the way he sees them. So, let me do this. We talked about Max Wagner, Player of the Year, and also from Clemson, you had a couple of players named 3rd team All-ACC. Of course, Wagner was 1st team. Mac Anglin was 3rd team, and Blake Wright was 3rd team All-ACC as well. And then for South Carolina, you had a couple of folks for the All-SEC team. You had Marcus Braswell was named to the All-Freshman team, and Brant Belk was named All-SEC 2nd team. So those are the honored Gamecocks. Wofford's Ryan Galani, Southern Conference Player of the Week, hit .462 over the weekend, and he hit 4 home runs in that series against VMI. Coastal redshirt senior Reed Van Scotter was named the Sun Belt. Van Scooter. Oh,
it looks like Van Scotter, but it is pronounced Van Scooter.
Okay. He's the Sun Belt Pitcher of the Year. And on the all Sun Belt 1st team, also Michael Knorr, Dale Thomas, and Tyler Johnson were named to the 2nd team. So getting all this done and getting ready for the start of the tournaments beginning tomorrow. And by the way, the Southern Conference just announced, because of the weather they're expecting to have up in Greenville on Thursday, they're moving games to Wednesday. So there'll be 4 games on Wednesday at Fluor Field in Greenville instead of just 2. So the single elimination games are going to be played, I guess, Wednesday, Thursday, and now all 4 are going to be played on Wednesday there at Fluor Field. So make your plans for that in case you were wondering. So you're going to have East Tennessee taking on the Citadel at 9 on Wednesday, and Western Carolina will take on BMI at 12:30 instead of playing those games, I guess, on Thursday. That'll do it. We'll see you from Hoover. Smitty will be in Charlotte. Be with you tomorrow night. Thanks for being with us tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.
Someone will be right with you. The Point.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Americans keep spending despite a record inflation squeeze.
Despite high inflation,